We're talking a little bit about behavior modification, and that's the program that was developed by Lee and Merlina Cantor. And some people believe it's very close to behavior modification, but yet I think there's some differences that kind of you need to draw out and touch upon. So it's definitely a classroom management style that requires one to be very assertive in their discipline, and you can't really be wishy-washy as a teacher. So there are 6 steps that Lee and Marie Cantor have outlined for assertive discipline, and I'll try and talk about those 6 steps. I might look back at my computer here to get the 6 steps, but I can talk about them. So the first step is you kind of have to create this positive student-teacher relationship. So you have to build mutual respect with your students. You have to try and really reach out to them and get to know them. Attend their events, show that you really care, and that relationship has to be the foundation of assertive discipline. If you don't have that relationship built first, assertive discipline kind of falls apart. So you have to spend time doing that and building that relationship. And you have to let them know that they're respected in whatever you're doing. The second step then is to kind of establish rules or expectations. So a lot of teachers like to post 5 rules on the wall. A lot of management plans do that, but it's very important to assertive discipline that you kind of minimize that to 5. And those 5 are kind of used to create a classroom environment that allows for the optimization of learning. So you're really wanting them to think about their 5 rules as a teacher and get 5 rules that are going to produce an environment in which kids can learn. And then you have to put some consequences with each of those 5 rules. So the consequences have to be kind of matched to that rule, and there should be levels of severity of your consequences. So once you write a consequence at the first level, they realize it's not, it's not as, what do I say? They could break the rule and not have very much as far as a ramification put on them, but as they break it a second time and a third time, the level of consequence goes up. And you want to make sure that you enforce those. The key to assertive discipline is that you're not only assertive in enforcing the rules, but you also follow through on them. So that brings us to step 3, which is kind of track that misbehavior. A lot of teachers will put names in the corner of a chalkboard and check marks, and each time a person breaks that rule, it's the first consequence. The second check mark, again, that consequence becomes higher. So for example, first time you might be 5 minutes late to recess. Second check mark, you lose a recess. Third check mark, you lose 2 recesses. Fourth one, you lose that, plus you get a conference call with your parent, and they call home to the parent. So the last part of this is you kind of use negative consequences to enforce the limits as well. So those negative consequences, you're making promises, not really issuing threats. So there's several methods of doing that. You could maybe give them a timeout, withdraw a privilege that they really like, give them a detention like staying after school. When I was teaching in Seattle, we had an after-school work program, and that program was if someone had a detention after school, they were responsible for cleaning up school grounds. And so the campus stayed clean as well, but it's getting them to think about their consequence, and the consequence was that they were going to have to come in on a Saturday morning, pay $10, and at 8 o'clock in the morning pick up the grounds. And so it really helped with things like tardies in class, and after you got the second one, you had a Saturday detention, so tardies went down very quickly after that. Here's where it differs a little bit from behavior modification, in that you also implement a system of positive consequences. So you want to catch students in the act of good behavior. And so rather than just ignoring good behavior, or ignoring bad behavior like behavior modification, we're punishing bad behavior, and then we're also looking at good behavior and trying to reward them for that. So you implement some kind of a reward when they do something well, or you see something that they're doing that you like in the classroom that's conducive to that environment that you're wanting to establish. So you try and check them and catch them in the act of being good. And you want to give them some kind of a reward, a special privilege, maybe a material reward, a note home to the parent. And not only do we talk about negative things that are happening, but we tell the parents when their child is being good in the classroom as well. And the the privileges go a long way. If you can find something that the student really wants or desire, and then when you catch them in the act of doing something good, you give them that reward and allow them to help you out in the classroom with that positive reward. The last thing is then a strong parental support. So you have to really start thinking about, how do I get my parents involved? So this is a collaborative effort. It's not just me helping students learn how to regulate their own behavior, but the parents become involved as well. So you contact them at the beginning of the school year, and you let them know your 5 rules. You let them know your expectations. There's a lot of communication up front with the parent. And then there's regular contact throughout the year. You send notes home to them every once in a while with both positive and negative behaviors that you've been noticing. Then at parent-teachers conferences, you collaboratively look at the child and say, what does this child need? And you try and put forward some ideas that are going to collaboratively help the child become more successful in your classroom. So the parent and you are both trying to facilitate and manage the child. And that's hard. You've got to establish that communication in lots of different ways in order for good communication between a parent and a teacher to happen. And that usually happens outside of the normal teaching. You've got to be doing it in your off time, after school, before school, at your lunch break, those types of things.